Hi folks, let's do some Tai Chi, starting with the bear. The thing I want to work on today is the way that the movements play out from the center all the way through the body to the hands and feet. So in the bear, the movement is really simple. You're just turning one direction and then the other direction. And that turn plays out into your hand, and then the hand falls. You turn the other way, it plays out into the hand, and then the hand falls. So feel these two phases of that playing out. The way that the turn reaches the hand, and then the hand falls back as the other hand fills. So in any one hand, there's a full part of the cycle, and then an emptying part of the cycle. Full as you turn and the hand swings in front of you, emptying as the hand falls and swings behind you. So really pay attention to that, the way the turn then culminates and then fades away. As far as the legs, the way it plays out is by putting weight in the leg. You connect to the leg, you turn, the weight pours into that leg. You connect to the other leg, you turn, the weight pours into that leg. So the filling of the leg happens as a consequence of the turn. The primary action is not shifting. The shifting is a result of the primary action, which is turning. So as you turn, it fills one hand, it fills the opposite leg. And then just like the arms that have a filling cycle and an emptying cycle and a filling cycle and an emptying cycle, the legs have the same. Pouring weight into the leg, releasing the leg, letting it empty. A couple more turns. And take a break. So we know it is rooted in the feet, released through the legs, directed by the waist, expressed in the hands. We know all movement comes from the dantian. We know waist is commander, drives the moves. But a lot of times what we end up doing is moving our hands and our feet. So we're trying to get to particular postures, and so what we do is we place our hands and our feet. And one of the challenges is to have all of those motions be the result of changes that you make in the center and the inside. So there's a trigger for any movement. There's a thing that you do often down in the feet that actually starts the energy coming rooted in the feet, driven by the legs, directed by the waist. So the waist is what actually makes the hands or the empty foot go where you need them to go. And a lot of times what we do is we're paying attention to the hands. So do push into single whip with me. And so, you start out in push, and you sit back and you put your hands down, and you turn, you keep your hands in front of your shoulder. You shift. As you turn, you draw the fingers together. Now you turn and you extend the hook. You step, you shift, you bring your left hand up, and then you turn it over and make it face out for single whip. So when we're doing that, and the way I talked about it is a way that would lead you to moving the hands. So do that again. I won't talk through it this time, but just watch all the changes. So go ahead. We'll come back to this one because there's a lot going on there. But I want you to just right now try to pay attention to the difference between sitting back and then turning to move your hands and keeping them right here aligned with shoulders and hips, nose over belly button, and sitting back and turning and having that motion of turning then play out through the hands. So do that with me. Start out and push. Sit back. And now turn and let the turn end up playing out to the hands. And do that again. Back to push. Sit back. Turn and watch how the turn ends up playing out to, and it reaches the fingers here at the very end. Again, sit back, start turning, and let that turn play out through the arms, reaching the fingertips. Now, this time, turn and bring your hands with you. So when, instead of thinking about a turn that plays out through the body, you start out turning and you're trying to move the hands. Sit back, the hands go down, turn and move the hands along the whole arc. That probably feels different in the arms and the chest. And so now once more, turning first, letting that play out through the arms. Sit back, turn, plays out through the arms. So the trick in doing a move like single whip or any of the 36 other moves is figuring out at every moment what is the change you make inside that plays out and results in the change you want on the outside, the final postures. And so that's challenging and demanding. And we want to start with doing some really little bits of it. So come back to the bear here again. And as you turn in the bear, feel that go all the way out through the arm, and then the arm falls. And you turn, and that goes all the way out through the arm. So it's not holding your arms with you and turning, but there's actually a change that goes all the way out through the arm. And you'll feel it in the palm and the fingertips at the extreme of the turn as the arm is completely full. So really notice how that turning of the waist plays out through the arms. And then the arm just falls. When we try to make our arms or our feet do what we want them to, we'll always put extra tension in them. And so that moment after it's played out all the way and the arm starts falling, you won't have. Instead, the arms will be a little bit carried and held. So you turn, it plays all the way out through the arm falls, you turn, it plays out through the other arm, that arm falls, you turn, first arm falling, other arm falling. Okay, and now this time stop at the extreme of the turn. What happened to your arms? If they're still out in space, that means you were holding them. They should have just fallen. If they're really motivated entirely by the turning. So now do it some more. The motion in the arms is completely the result of the changes in the waist. And really watch that moment where the hand changes from filling to emptying and it falls back. Okay, and now stop on the other side. Stop at the end of the turn and see what happened to your arms. If they stayed out in space, then you're holding them. And the trick is to find that little bit of holding, which is probably the result of you trying to achieve an effect in the arms, rather than letting the arms' motion be completely the expression of what is directed by the waist after it was developed in the legs and rooted in the feet. And on your own then, just trick yourself and stop another couple times and see what your arms do. Your own timing. I'm not going to tell you when, but do it yourself. One of the turns, stop, And feel the arms just fall. This should feel good in your arms because it really helps soften them. Another couple swings, enjoying that transition from filling to emptying. And take a break. So in order to do this work, it requires several things. One of them is really getting rid of the efforting, the intention, the attempt to achieve an effect, and the corresponding tightness in the arms. Another thing is that your timing has to be really good, right? If I turn in the bear and I let the arm fall, and then I turn the other way, well, I don't get the effect I wanted in this hand, right? As I turned there, I need to let my turning back just exactly follow the motion of that arm so that it's ready for the next one. And if my timing is bad, if I turn and then I'm turning more, now the arm won't be in the right place. Or if I turn and I have a little stop, the arm will fall and then it won't do the right thing. So I not only have to get rid of the striving and the force to achieve an effect in the arms, I have to have my timing just exactly right on the inside. And that timing has two parts. It has a driving, making something happen phase, and then it has a following phase. So the waist as commander, both leads and follows, but its timing needs to be just exactly right. So we're going to spend some time on the damned arm swings because they give you a really good feel for this. So start out on either foot. We'll do each side a couple times. Put one foot in front of you, like you were going to be in like 100% posture. And what we're going to do is don't worry about the arms, just switch back and forth. And as you shift forward into your front foot, let the heel of the rear foot come off the ground. As you sit back into the rear foot and turn towards the outside of the rear foot, let the heel of the front foot come off the ground. So you're just shifting back and forth, and you let the heel of the empty foot come off the ground. My waist is turning towards the outside of the back foot. And you're shifting and turning back and forth here. And then you can change to the other side. So you put the other foot forward, and you shift and turn back and forth between the feet. Make sure your rear foot is pointed to the corner. So if you have it too much to the front, you won't be able to turn very far. If you have it turned out too far, you'll end up splitting yourself apart. You want it exactly in the corner place. You're shifting back and forth between the 2 feet. Let the emptying foot come up on the ball. So the heel of the front foot floats, the heel of the rear foot floats. Now I want to bring the arm in. We're going to pay attention to the arm with the rear foot. When you're in your front foot, that arm is palm up. As you sit back and turn, let it swing. And come back to the front and let it swing. It's palm up at the front. As it swings, the thumb side leads. So the arm rotates a little bit as you do this. Nothing in the arm, like doing the bear. So you're not moving your arm, even if that's in sync with your shifting. The arm is like a pendulum, and you're just moving back and forth to put that pendulum in motion. And change sides. So you're using the other back foot and the other arm. You can let the arm that goes with the front leg just rest on your thigh, so you don't get confused by it. And just letting the pendulum of the back foot's arm Swing back and forth and back and forth. As you sit back, the front foot's heel comes off the ground. As you come forward, the rear foot's heel comes off the ground. Okay, take a break. So now, this is the playing out of the motion into the arms. And it's got both the leading and following aspects. The leading is that I shift my weight and turn my waist, and that makes the arm swing. So the only reason the arm moves is because it's completely loose and I'm shifting and turning. This is, in many ways, even simpler than the bear. And what happens is the arm swings up, and if you stopped, the arm would just fall. So do that with me. Shift back and forth a couple times. And then stop and let the arm just fall. And change sides. Swinging the arm. Swinging the arm. Swinging the arm and stop. Let it just fall. Again. Swing a couple times. And then stop and let the arm just fall. So when the arm falls, that's the point at which your waist follows. So I drive the arm, and then the arm falls, and I follow it. I drive the arm by shifting and turning, then the arm falls, and I follow it. So you get both sides of this. The arm is completely relaxed, so all that it does is an actual result, not just a forced synchronization of timing, but it's actually the result of me shifting and turning. And then when the arm falls, I follow it back to the front. So I'm working on my timing there. And so do this. Shift back and forth as you need to. Do a couple times on one side. And then you can change to the other side. And if you're trying to figure out if you're really letting your arms go or not, go ahead and do the trick of stopping and see if they just fall. If they don't fall, then you're holding. And so you want to pay attention to where you're holding through all of that so that it really does fall. And then when it falls, you follow and you stay right with it to bring it back to the front. You drive it towards the back. You stay with it as you come to the front. And go ahead and change sides whenever you want. I like to do it a couple times on one side so I can really get that feeling rather than changing back and forth every time, at least at the beginning. If we do this long enough, we'll start changing back and forth more frequently. But we really want you to get this. Arms are loose. Their motion is the result of what you're doing in the center. You put an impetus in, you follow it back. You put an impetus in, you follow it back. The arm is without intent. It manifests the shape that you make in the inside. This is an internal art. On your inside, there's rooting in the feet, development in the legs, directing by the waist. And on the outside, there's the expression in their hands, the manifestation of what you're doing in the inside. The arm just falls. It's not its job to match the timing of you coming back to the front. It's your job to match the timing of the arm falling so that you all reach the front at the same time. But the arm is just falling. It is not trying to stay with you. You are trying to stay with the arm. Okay, give it another swing or two. It's a little like a perpetual motion machine. It's kind of hard to stop once you get it going. So, this, how simple can you get? There's lots of complicated moves in Tai Chi. There's lots of stuff where we do all kinds of things, and they've got technical challenges and choreographic difficulties and, all kinds of stuff going on there. Those should all be just the same as this. And so the challenge is, as we get into something that's more choreographically challenging, we will tend to control. So we'll tend to move our hands, and when I do that and I turn and I move my hands, what I'm actually doing is tightening here so that I can make the hand stay with the belly. As opposed to, this is all completely loose, and as I turn, this motion then plays out into the fingers. Everything doesn't move in lockstep. And so that is difficult to get when you've got the challenge of a complex move. All of us, at least all the people I know, will tend to manipulate our hands and our feet. And so we're trying to find a way that we can let go of that manipulation, and you can experience that the motion of the hand is actually the result of the changes that you're making in the inside. And as you do that, you'll discover there's these two phases. There's an impetus, and then there's a following, so that you stay with it. That's the way that you don't control the hand. If you don't do the impetus, then you're just going to move your hand. And if you don't do the following, then the hand is going to get out of place with you, and then you'll have to just move it, or else you'll make the wrong shape, and people are really resistant to making the wrong shape. And so what we'll do instead is use some force. So the motion of the arm is actually, not just metaphorically, not just symbolically, not just in your imagination, but actually the result of the changes you're making inside. And in order for that to stay with the arm just expressing, you have to be skilled at the yin-yang transformation, at the change between actively making something happen and very, very closely following. Actively making something happen, very closely following. And the action is in the center, not in the hand. So where we're going to try to go next with the arm swings is the guts of turning over the hand, for example, going into brush knee. So, as I'm here and say play guitar, and I drop the arm and I need to get it turned over here, how do I do that without making the hand move, right? So it's easy to bring here and then bring the hand over. And of course, we'll teach it to you that way initially, because you got to get in about the right shape, so you'll just turn the hand over. But when you do that, you've lost nothing except for the direct expression of the changes in the inside in the hand. And you've lost the timing to bring it back so that that happens without putting force into it, and you will tighten the arm. So we're trying to do this really, really simple motion as you're going, so that you can experience the arms not doing, but being the result of what you do in the rest of the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to swing a couple times on one side. And then one of the times, just stop and put both hands on your hips. This time when you turn, you're going to go to that same place that you've been going, with the waist towards the front corner. And then you're going to turn a little bit further and come back. So this will be swing, waist ends up in the front corner, come back to the front. Swing, waist ends up in the front corner, come back to the front. Put your hands on your hips, front corner past the corner, come back. So do that with me. So the first couple times you'll pay attention to the arm swinging, then drop the hands on the hips, make the same turn in the waist a little bit more and back. So swing. Watch how the arm is the expression of the change you make on the inside, and you follow it back to the front. Impetus, follow back to the front. Impetus, follow back to the front. Hands on the hips. Turn past and back. Again, same side. Swing. Arm comes back to the front. Swing. Waist is in the front corner. Arms comes back to the front. Swing. Waist is in the front corner. Arm comes back to the front. Hands on the hips. Front corner past and back. Change. Swing. Waist in the front corner. Back to the front. Swing. Waist in the front corner. Back to the front. Swing. Waist in the front corner. Back to the front. Hands on hips. Turn further and back. Again. Swing. Waist in the front corner. And back. Swing. Waist in the front corner. And back. Hands on the hips. Shift and turn further and back to the corner. Okay, take a break. So, the things happen in a short amount of time doesn't mean you hurry, but Tai Chi is not a metronome. It's not on gears. It's not just tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. It breathes and lives. And in a breathing, living system, everything doesn't happen on a metronome as if it were driven by gears. And so that means that some things will take less time than other things. I mean, it sounds kind of stupid when I talk about it like this. But there's a real tendency for us when we're doing that to force. So I've got my pendulum coming back and forth here. My pendulum is swinging. And then this time I'm going to go to the corner further and back to the corner. And that going further and back takes less time than the pendulum swing took. So the thing that can happen is you hurry. You get there, you're to the corner, you think, oh, I got to do all this stuff. And you do something sharp, jagged, forced that will take away that letting go. So do this with me again. Turn. Waist is into the front corner. Come back. This is the pendulum swinging. Right there in your arm, swinging. And you're used to the impetus and the following. And the impetus and the following. Hands on hips. Turn further and back. Swing. Back. Swing. Back. Swing. Back. Hands on hips. Swing further and back to the corner. Change to the other side. Pendulum swings, brings you back to the front. Pendulum swings, brings you back to the front. Pendulum swings, brings you back to the front. Hands on hips. Turn further and back. Hands on hips, further and back. So that's the change that we make on the inside in order to get the hands to turn over. That's the direction that the waist provides to the force that was released through the legs and rooted in the ground in order to make the hands turn over. And so I'm pulling this apart so that you actually understand that change, because we get carried away. We're paying all this attention to our hands and we're trying to make them do the thing. And so as that's happening, it can be that nothing's happening on the inside. And so you need to actually understand the changes on the inside. And the change on the inside is that I turn further and I come back. And if I can let my arm be completely released and relaxed, so the arm is just swinging and coming back here, it has no idea what's going on. It just swings and then it comes back. It's a pendulum. It has no idea. And then one of the times underneath it, I change the ground. And how did that happen? The hand swing ended up with it up on top. But the hand didn't come over. The hand's just swinging. It's just swinging. And then I make a change on the inside, and that change on the inside results in the hand swinging up and coming over to the top. And so the hand says, wow, how did I get here? Isn't that cool? That's what you want, rather than the hand knowing where it's going. So I'm going to do this for another couple minutes. We can do the arm swings for hours and hours and hours, And honestly, you need to do that. If you haven't worked on the arm swings with us before, then you're not going to get it in this hour, even if it was 2 hours or 4 hours. You need to actually practice this. Luckily, it feels really good to just swing back and forth. They say spend 10,000 hours on something. If there's a thing in Tai Chi, in addition to the bear, that I've actually spent the 10,000 hours on, it's these arm swings. So you really need to do it. But we'll try it a little bit more. And what I want you to do is to keep, whenever you find that you've gone away from this total Tai Chi feeling of the motion of the hands is the expression of what's on the inside, take something out. And so you can shift and turn and get the arms swinging. Then you can see what happens if you do the waist and get the hand to turn over. And if there was any force in that, any force at all, come back to just swinging. And just let them swing. You follow it back. Then one time you make the waist turn and the hands come back. Do it for another couple times on each side. And then I'll turn it over to Beth, who will give her spin on this. Okay, great.
Let's spend a little more time on the damned arm swings. So there's some more details that I can give you to try and make this become something that you can play with on your own. One of them is that it's tempting to let your hand be a weight and you drop it and turn and let that be what sends it up toward the rear corner. So just try doing that, kind of hold your hand high, a little bit high to get that feeling, and then drop it like a dead weight and turn your waist and see what happens. And one of the things I want you to notice is how high up it will swing in the back when you do that. That's come up pretty high. Another thing I want you to notice doing that is how it's a little gets away from you. It's not with you, and it's not something you can follow back. So do it a little bit more and notice how your timing, it's really difficult to time it to come back with it because it got away from you the minute you dropped it. And simply because you dropped a weight and turned doesn't mean that you're doing what we're looking for in this exercise. So now that you've done it that way a few times, it should feel a little out of control. Not that I want you to control it, but that it's out of control. So now I want you to do it, just keep it right by your hip. Let the hand be palm up, and the impetus comes because you step, shift, and turn. And then notice how little it swings up. And you can follow it back. It's not that you control it, but it's not wild and out of control. So just check that out and notice where it swings to naturally. It's not going to get beyond about a 45-degree angle down. If it does, you're probably adding to it. That's the danger of playing with this, is it feels good. So if a little feels good, then a little more feels better. And the next thing you know, see, that last bit was out of my realm. It left me. It got away from me. That's the out of control part that I'm talking about. So go ahead and notice, give it a little more and see how that disconnects when doing just the amount keeps it connected with you. And then when it falls back down, you're right here with it. If you give it a little extra, when it falls back, it's actually falling at a slightly different angle now because it got away from me. And I don't have the same ability to follow it back. It disconnects, and then it's like, oh, when's it coming? Oh, there it is. And then you catch it again. So you want to be really assiduous about how you set it in motion. It does not set in motion because your hand is heavy and you drop it. It sets in motion because you step and shift and turn. And that's how you come back. Now this exercise is an invention of Maggie's. The last time we saw her, which was, I guess, last summer, we told her, she's 96 now, and she doesn't have much to say. But we got her to laugh when we told her that our students had named this the damned arm swings. She thought that was pretty funny. So the damned arm swings are an invention of Maggie's. And one of the things that she cautions us about, and this can become tempting, is not doing a lot of bending in your knees. So you can think, oh, this is really great, and start swinging by dropping and coming back up. And now you're giving it impetus from, more than something that's happening, playing out from the center and finding its way back. So as much as we're always telling you, you need to have, the knees need to give and bend your knees as you're sitting and stepping and all that stuff, this is an exercise that does not have, obviously you don't want to do it on locked knees, but you're not giving it anything extra in the legs. The only thing extra you give it is that shift and turn. Shift and turn. So avoid, and you can go ahead and do it once just so you feel the difference, the using your knees to create the swing. It gets kind of free form and, go ahead and dance like that. But in this exercise, keep your legs pretty high and really, really limit it to the movement that happens because you step, you shift, you turn, and it puts the arm in motion. When it goes up, it comes down. Goes back up, comes down. Really looking for it just that much and noticing that it doesn't get very high in either dimension. Either this way or this way. Okay, so that's one thing to pay attention to in the 10,000 things to pay attention to in this deceptively simple exercise. So Lee started us trying to see how the arm can turn over if we change how we're using the center. So I want you to not think about this being a way to practice getting into the brush knees, and just look at how the movement can turn the arm over. I'm going to keep it low. The difference is we're not going to come up here and then come out like that. We'll do that maybe on Thursday. But for now, I want you to just, as the arm is swinging, get it going a couple times. Notice that it doesn't go very high. It goes about 45 degrees. You don't turn really past the corner. And then once you turn a little past the corner, and just let it come back with you. Let it change and turn over a little bit. You don't have to turn it over all the way. Just look at how you can use the turning of the waist to make a change in the arm. So it swings out here, and you go a little further, and it keeps going. What happens at that moment that you get to the corner and your arm gets to here, I'm stopping so that you can see these moments. It should not have a stop. But As you come to here, then when you go a little further, that sends the arm turning over a little bit. It's like it's going here and it's still going, and you change underneath it, and that's what starts it coming back to you, as opposed to you're going here and then you go further and it just keeps going further. Then it starts to disconnect, and you can check that out for yourself and see that if you take it to this place and then go further, it creates a disconnect. So notice the place. This is only as far as it goes while it's still connected to your turning and your center. And from that place, come a little further and notice this moment that it starts to come back over, and then you follow it back. So this is just a little different. And what's different is how the hips catch the arm and change it. Change its direction. That's all we're looking for, is a way to change the direction. So see if you can just do this 10,000 times. Swing. Just get it swinging, get it swinging. Get yourself with the arm. Really know how far you have to go, how far the arm swings up, where your corner is, all that stuff. And then one time go a little past it and have it come back with you. Do it on the other side so that you get it. You might be better on one side than the other. So do notice if it's working better on one side than the other, then let that side teach the other side how it works. So do it till it feels good on the side that you can get it working on, and then you can change sides. If you're not sure and they both feel a little awkward, just keep changing sides. But don't be discouraged if one side feels better than the other. Use that. Let that help you find the feeling, and then you can teach it to the other side. And so on your own time, you're just going to swing forward and back, not putting anything extra anywhere. You're just shifting and turning, following the arm. It goes up, it falls down, you follow it. And then one time you turn a little further and it turns over as you come back. And just keep coming back to just swinging it. You don't want to get ahead of yourself. There's no place you're trying to put it yet. All you need to do is figure out how turning a little further helps it turn over and redirect. So this is actually a big issue in Tai Chi. It happens all over the place. It happens even more in sword, is how do you redirect something? You've got something going in one direction. How do you, without forcing it, redirect it? And you know that it's got to be coming from the center, from the Dantian. So that's the first clue, and you need to just explore this and explore this. Get out of your arms. You can even, use your other hand here to feel that it's staying soft and that you're not controlling it. Because go ahead and control it once, and you'll feel right away that it changes the soft quality right here in the where the arm comes into your torso. So really let that have a nice, open, soft thing. And then the other detail that I'm going to add to this for today is that when the arm swings to its furthest extent here at that 45-degree angle, this needs to be pretty flat. You have not already started turning into it. So by that I mean here, I want this to stay flat. And then as I do this last little turn, that's when the change happens here and it becomes kind of concave. If you catch that too soon and you turn more and send it like this, that will change the dynamic of this whole swing. So be assiduous about that. Maggie would call it the flat plane. When the arm swings up, it needs to swing up on a flat plane. You don't want to get ahead of it and turn to face the arm as it's swinging up, because that's going to ruin the flat plane and it changes the relationship. So as it's swinging, let yourself have the flat plane. Follow it up, follow it back, let it be connected to your dantian, and then one time turn more. Now it changes. That's how that time that you go past the corner and back to the corner, that's when you lose the flat plane. You don't want to lose it prematurely. So do this a little bit more, one side and the other. Go ahead and play with it. You can use your other hand if that helps give you some feedback. Make sure that you're keeping the arm in a position that does not turn you into it prematurely. And then turn your waist and bring it back. Other side. And I don't even care if you shift the weight when it comes back. If there's too much going on and you just stay on the same leg, that's fine. If you want to go, whatever works for you with the shifting of the weight as the arm changes direction, that's okay for now. It will get very specific when we put the whole thing together. But right now, just keep it simple and don't do too much. That's actually the hardest thing about this exercise, is just doing the right amount. And then turn a little more and let it turn over. Following it very closely. Notice that the moment the hand hits bottom, you've shifted into that back foot. The moment the hand hits bottom, you're ready to take it into the front foot. So, that's a whole bunch. Do play with this. It should feel good. It should take a lot of the striving out. Help soften your shoulders, your pecs, all across your chest, all of that. And it should not be hard on your legs. So you're doing something that's going to help the body soften without giving yourself doing a lot of up and down and really making it hard on the legs. Let this be easy, 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 and just see what happens when you turn it over. And see if you can just change direction without forcing it. Corner past the corner and back. So let's do actually a whole first third and try to keep this same feeling of the soft arms, the arms that follow the turning of the waist, and that the waist then follows back, so that there's this impetus and a following. And just notice where it happens, where it doesn't happen. Just keep your arms soft, relaxed. Stand here a minute and just really let the arms go. And begin. So one of the things that keeps your arms from becoming that dead weight that you follow, but is not controlled, is that the movement has to go through the whole arm. It's not just hand, my hand is here, and now my hand is here, and now my hand is here, and now my hand is here. When I do this, it's not really letting go. I'm still holding on to it. And it's the flip side of, you know, really letting it go, but it makes the hand be the place that the focus is, and also where that it's a little heavy-handed, if you will. So part of this, letting it really expand outward from the center, is that it has to make its way through the whole arm, and your elbow will be a critical juncture for that. If you miss the elbow and just have, you're swinging from up here and you're watching what happens down here, and go ahead and do that so that you feel the difference. Feel how that makes the hand heavy, and it does not, you don't feel the movement go through the arm. You're moving here and you're moving here, and everything else is just stuck. So go ahead and really let it go. I sometimes talk about if we could put LED lights in our bodies and then watch them light up in sequence. So it's not that the whole arm is lit up at once and just moves, but that it falls through the whole arm, through the elbow, out to the hand. Let it have a little play. And this is part of the playing out from the center out to the extremity. So give it a little bit of awareness through, not that you're, manipulating the elbow, but do feel the movement run through the whole arm as opposed to just moving the arm. It should feel different. If it doesn't feel different, just keep trying. It can be a little freaky to try to let go of your arm completely. We spend so much of our lives a little bit controlling the world with our manos, our manipulators, that to really let go and let them hang can be a little disconcerting. So sit with that. It's okay. If that's what you're feeling, if this makes you want to cry, it's okay. This simple exercise is a little, there's a lot more to it than it seems. Doing less is actually really hard. And so let yourself go through whatever you need to feel that you're really letting go of that arm and letting it move with your turning, with your shifting, and then you're following it back. It's just out there in the world, moving with the rest of your body. It's not something that you can control. Let's do just going to single whip from push, since that's where we started. And let there be a little give here. Let it be that the center is driving, and see if you can do less with your arms. And if you're just even kind of making the right shapes, but it's not going where you think it's perfect, that's okay. Let it be a little less than perfect, but really try to see how much you can do by turning the waist and letting it play out. So, right foot forward in the push, and stand here a moment, and let your arms be like they're hanging off the clothesline. Really, really loose, that if you just said, okay, my hands are not pointing up anymore, the whole arm would just fall. So then balance around your elbows so that all this is soft, and go. You sit back, that extends the arms. You turn the waist, it plays out through the body. You catch them and bring them back, turning the waist. Send it out. Step. Come into the final posture, turning. And great. Let's do that a couple more times, and then we'll call it a session. So really letting your arms be loose, focusing on how they connect to the body. And once more. Go at your own pace. Try to do less with the arms and notice how the center directs everything. Okay. So I'll encourage you to play around with the arm swings. You can do it, after you've been sitting at the computer for too long, just get up and do a little bit of that. There's a lot of opportunities for you to just let go. So have fun with it.